Hey, what's up, everyone? Gonna go ahead and get my other screen up and we'll get started. Give me 20 seconds. Yep. All right, so the notification just came in. Hopefully everybody's doing well. Welcome to the weekly live stream Q&A. This is actually, technically, it's our 100th live stream, even though we've missed quite a few just for various reasons, being sick, things coming up. But yeah, so this is 100th stream. And for that, I am putting a discount code. It's called Live100 for 40% off the entire website. That's going to be good until Friday. Now, yeah, so 40%. Depending on what you get, you could be a higher percentage if you buy 3 get 1 free of the 3D printing. It just depends on what that is. You can try both of those and see how it works. Let me go ahead and pop in here and grab this chat before I keep going. And yeah, you guys can go ahead and start putting your questions in the comment section and we will get started. Let me pop this out here. Here we go. Good to go. What's up, Sean? Hopefully you guys are doing well. All right, cool. Yeah, so I did get a video done today. It's actually uploading now. It's the DIY. It's showing you guys the DIY Skimmate collection container. So I'll show you guys that. I'll have it out tomorrow. I probably won't finish it tonight, but yep. So you guys will have that. I'm still getting over this cold. It's going on 2 weeks now, a little over 2 weeks, and I'm just kind of So went hunting on Saturday, shot a buck. But because of the rain, I was not able to find it. I'm pretty bummed about that. But yeah, it just sucks. It was raining really bad here. So I'm not going to do that again. All right, so let me go to make sure this is up. Audio check. Let me know if you guys can hear me or not, because I'm not getting the icon that says that I'm talking. So we'll see. Let me pull up the other one. What's up, Kevin? What's going on, man? I am doing pretty good. Thanks for asking. You can hear me? Cool. Thanks. Yeah, it usually shows on StreamYard. It shows me talking. At least it gives an indication that there's some kind of sound coming in, but it's not popping up yet. So we're good. Awesome. Thanks. Appreciate it. Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. Appreciate you asking. Again, just trying to get over this cold, get some content out, and just kind of going from there. But yeah, let me go ahead and get this up here. So I actually, if you guys remember, a little while ago, I made a channel called Everything Fish a Hex. So I just changed the name of that. And I actually moved all my jiu-jitsu videos over to that. And that's where I'm going to upload all that stuff. It's like Hex Jiu-Jitsu or something. I'll find a link at some point, put in the comment section. But I basically wanted to keep that stuff off the channel. So I'm going to upload all my competitions on there and just all this stuff that I'm doing associated with it. Again, just to kind of keep it away from the fish stuff, just because it's not really... It doesn't really make sense to have it on this channel. So if you want to check it out, you can just look that up. But what's going on here? Let me see. What does you got here? G Supreme. What are some unique coral to grow on the back wall? What Recordia or Redactus mushrooms work? So I've never been able to just stick a mushroom to the back wall of a tank before. I have gotten away with zoanthids, green star polyps, the pulsing xenia, like the pom-pom coral. That's another name for it. Those are pretty good. Anything encrusting wise, even some encrusting SPS, some encrusting Monteporas are pretty good at growing on the back wall. It just depends on how you try to attach them. So what I like to do is I take a suction cup and then I attach my coral to it on a frag plug. So say it's like a 1-inch frag plug. I'll put it on a suction cup and then I will put it to the back wall, and then that coral will actually encrust off that plug onto the glass, and then you can remove the suction cup if you want and let the coral to continue to grow. That's how I was able to get green star polyps to do that. Same with these zoanthids. But it just kind of depends. If you have a bunch of coralline algae or a bunch of hair algae or any kind of film back there, it might be difficult for it to attach. Another thing you could do is just put a frag or like a rubble rock piece of coral at the bottom of the tank near the back wall, and it will find its way up. Other than that, you don't really see too much SPS growing on the back wall. I know that there is some, what is it? It's like a green Pulosopora. It's kind of one of those ones that just kind of has babies in your tank. It spreads over the place. I've had that grown on the back wall by itself. I didn't have to put it there. So yeah, so if you want to attach SPS, sometimes you got to get, like, again, those rocks, or attach it via frag and then let it kind of encrust off. But yeah, so I don't know. I don't really know what you're into. I know green star polyps is probably the most popular coral for the back wall, but just understand it's not going to stay there forever. It's going to make its way to the rocks and all that kind of stuff. So just keep that in mind. What's up, Gabe? Yeah, I got your email, man. So I'm gonna make that MP10 guard. I'll probably make it tomorrow, and then I will get those two set up and sent back out to you. So I appreciate you sending that in. Speaking of that, if you guys have any kind of pumps or power heads that you're looking to get guards for, or anything like that, you can reach out to me. And a lot of you guys send that stuff in. If you send one in, I'll make you whatever you want with it for it, free of charge. I'll send it back to you. And basically, all I do is I just add it to my website, and so other people can purchase down the road. So that's pretty much the whole point of that. Um, excuse me, kind of coffee real quick. So when it comes to, I want to move into this too. So when it comes to the 300, I actually went in and took out a bunch of corals. Yesterday or the day before? I feel like there's too much green in there. You guys know that I really like the green Slimer. It's just kind of, if you look in the video now, it's the one all the way to the left, the big one right to the side. It's one of my favorite corals. So I put that in like 3 or 4 different spots in the tank. And now that it's starting to grow in, I'm realizing that it's just a little too much. So I went in and took out 2 of those colonies yesterday. And I got some more WWC yellow tip coming in. It's supposed to be here tonight, but I'll probably get it tomorrow. So there's a few other corals I'm going to get that I'm just going to put into place there. But yeah, I was getting a little zealous, a little overzealous when it came to the green Slimer. It's one of my favorite corals, and it grows super fast. But I think, in this original tank shot, I got 2 colonies of it, and it's a lot. So having 4 would just be a little too much. So let's see here. He says, one of my Zoa frags aren't growing, opening up. It's been closed for 10 days now. When will I know it's dead? Well, usually when it comes to zoanthids dying, they will close up for a while, and then they'll start to kind of melt and disappear. Is this a new frag that you've put in there? Is this something that is new to the tank in general? Did it open up 10 days ago when you put it in, and then it just kind of closed up at that point? One thing I tell people when it comes to zoanthids, even if it's a colony or just a frag, if they're not opening up, there's usually just a couple reasons. One, you're getting too much light to the colony, and it's closing up because there's too much light. In that case, you can move the frag, and it will adjust over time. The other reason is usually like pests, like Zoa eating nudibranchs, Zoa eating spiders. Maybe you have a fire shrimp that's just kind of chewing on it every once in a while. Those kind of things, or even a fish, those kind of things will piss off the Zoa. So if it's a new frag and it's closing up, it's probably too much light. If it's kind of an old frag, or it's a colony that's been there for a while and it's starting to close up without any other major changes to the tank, you probably have one of the fish might be picking at it. Maybe your hermit crabs are, or maybe you got something in the colony. So the best thing to do is look at the colony when the lights are off, usually like 1 to 2 hours, or even in the middle of the night if you wake up while the lights are off, because that's when all the critters come out. As soon as the lights come off, that's when the nudibranchs are more easier to see with a flashlight, spiders, all that kind of stuff. That's when they come out to eat. Excuse me. And that's going to be your best chance of actually finding them. So yeah, consider doing that. Let me cough again real quick. We'll turn this mic off. Man, it's still there, man. This cough is still there. But yeah, so consider checking that out. You wrote something else here. Let me look. What's up, True Skills? It's been in for a month, fully open and closed one day. All of my other Zoas are doing well. I tried to move it, still no luck. Yeah, so definitely look at it with the lights off. Just check it out tonight, a couple hours after the lights go off, and see what happens. You probably got something irritating it. If the colony's been in there for a month fully open, then all of a sudden it's closing up, there could be something picking on it. Yeah, unless you made some major change to the tank. Did you have any, I don't know what you got in there right now. You said you had other Zoas, but have you had any major fluctuations with salinity, alkalinity? Have you changed anything else with the tank? How are your nutrients? Not all Zoas act the same. They kind of have, I wouldn't say they have their own personalities, but a Rasta Zoa is going to react differently to the water conditions opposed to like a regular like Arctic ice pally or something. One is more like the Arctic ice pally is more forgiving when it comes to fluctuations. The other one isn't. So just keep that in mind. You feel free to just kind of answer the questions that I'm asking as we go here, and I'll get to you as we move through the chat. So definitely do that. Excuse me. Are used tanks safe to drill? Well, that depends on if it's tempered or not. I know that you can use glasses, and there's some other methods to find out if the tank is tempered. One thing that I've realized is if the tank is pretty old and it's heavier than your average tank, like I got a 125 a few years ago. That was the heaviest tank I've ever picked up. It felt like the 300. That was all tempered glass, so I didn't want to, of course, didn't want to drill that. So you got to figure out if it's tempered or not. If it's not tempered, you can drill anything if it's not tempered. But if it is, as soon as you kind of get in there with the drill bit, it's going to shatter. Now, if it's a used tank they didn't really spend a lot of money on, and you can't tell if it's tempered or not, and you want to try to drill, just make sure you're wearing some safety goggles and wearing gloves and stuff. Just because it could be tempered, and it could kind of split up on you and shatter into pieces. So yeah, any tank can be drilled as long as it's not tempered. And I definitely don't recommend drilling the bottom. A lot of people like to do that to add the longer overflows. Usually the back is the best bet. Usually the bottom of most tanks is tempered unless you get them from the factory and they're already pre-drilled. So try to stay away from the bottom if possible. Let's see here. What do you suggest for battery backup? I just got power back from getting hit by and I wanted to prepare myself better for the next one. I was thinking about ice cap one. Well, one thing you have to realize is batteries, yes, they're cool for a short period of time, but if you're getting hit, or if you're in an area where you're even remotely going to be affected by a hurricane, you need to invest in a generator. And that would be something with the, oh man, what is that thing? The regulator? Oh man, I can't remember the top of my head. It's the type of generator that regulates the power, so you're not getting any kind of spikes. If somebody can remember the name of it, I've done a video on it. So I have two different generators downstairs. I have one that's just kind of, I take it camping. I need it for just powering stuff up. Nothing. I could power anything that doesn't really have like a PCB board or a motherboard or anything like that. That way, that one is a cheaper and the power fluctuates. It's just general one. But then I have the good one that I hook up to my Apex and the fish room, which basically keeps the tank alive when the power goes out. So if you're in an area where you're affected for longer power outages, I'm talking more than 5 to 8 hours, you need to invest in a generator. Battery packs are not only really expensive, but they don't really last that long. So, but I'm still going to answer the question for you. So when it comes to battery backup, if you want to do something from, the ice cap one is fine. I know that Ecotech has one for their setups. They work pretty good. But again, this is temporary stuff. Your best bet is to take that money you're going to put in the batteries and go ahead and get a quality generator and extra fuel. So inverter, there you go. Marcus is right. Yeah. So it's a generator that has an inverter in it. So if you go on Amazon or whatever, you just look up inverter generator, and that's where I got mine. They're not the cheapest, but it's kind of a peace of mind thing. Like I bring out my generator. I think I have a power outage maybe once every couple years, and it's not very long, but I like to know that I have it. It's better to have it than to not need it than to need it and not have it. And it's just a lot of peace of mind. So another rule of thumb, and I'm not going to go on it too long, is people like to ask, when should I buy a generator? At what point in my investing in this hobby should I buy a generator? Well, if you spent more than $1,000 on your entire setup, you need to buy a generator, period. It's just the way it is. And we can go through $1,000 with just 3 lights, right? So if you've invested more than $1,000, you need to do it. It's just one of those things. If you have like a fish only tank with no coral in it, and fish are okay with the power being out for a while. I mean, you can throw a bubbler in there, they'll be fine. They're not really going to die. But if you have a full SBS tank, it doesn't do very well with that for very long. So just keep that in mind. Take that into consideration. Inverter generator. I think I got mine for like $400, and it could power 99% of the tank. I mean, I keep the lights off, but you can power quite a bit. So, yep. Hopefully that doesn't go on too long. Excuse me. But yeah, I've done a few videos on generators. I might do some more if you guys want me to go in depth. But yeah, it's a must. How long would I acclimate my corals in my, I guess you meant my new frag tank? Super duper noober here. Man, that was hard to say that. Super duper noober here. Anyways, so if you got new corals coming in, most of the time we just float them for temperature, and then we dip them, and then we put them in a tank. Now, I definitely recommend that you quarantine your corals ahead of time. But I mean, I don't know if you have a setup for that or whatever. I have a couple videos on that. Depending on where you get them, you should quarantine your corals. It's just safe to do it that way. But if we're bypassing that and you're just looking to acclimate them, usually I let my corals come in and sit for about 45 minutes to an hour, maybe an hour and a half, depending on what the transit was. So if it's cold out and they've been kind of in a rough, they came in, the heat packs were not working that well and they're a little rough, I let them float for 2 or 3 hours and then I'll take them out. I will, dip them and all that kind of stuff and then put them in the tank. So it just kind of depends. But yeah, that's usually it. Try to match. It's difficult because wherever the tank came from, you try to match alkalinity the best that you can. One thing you can do is put the corals in a container and then slowly cup in some water. And this is after you let them get temperature, of course. You slowly putting a little bit of water, your tank, into the current water that they came in, and that helps slowly acclimate them to the alkalinity. Hopefully it's not too far off. Hopefully you're not like at 7 and then you bought corals that are at 10. That might be excuse me, it might be a pretty big jump, but yep. All right, let's see here. Moving down. When would you recommend adding tangs to a new tank? As soon as it's cycled. That's pretty common. I'm not really a big fan of adding fish in prior to cycling. I know a lot of people do it. I guess back in the day, I say this like I've been here forever, some kind of pro or whatever. Back in the day, a lot of people just used fish, like a bunch of chromis. They throw them in their tank. They let them go through the whole, nitrite to nitrate, ammonia, all that kind of stuff. Deal with that stressor, and then they're good to go. The tank is cycled. Personally, especially now with all the prices of fish being pretty high, you definitely can't afford to just be putting in fish to suffer through that process and potentially die. So I would cycle the tank first, at least a month worth of the tank being without fish. But you can put in the beneficial bacteria. You can put in a shrimp. You could feed the tank a little bit of food on a daily basis to help promote the cycling process. But I wouldn't put them in any sooner than a month after setup. And I know that can be pretty crappy for those of us who are just wanting to have something in our tank. But trust me, what happens is if you put a fish in too early and their gills get burned with the ammonia, which you can't tell if this happens, but if they get burnt, what's going to happen is the fish is going to slowly suffocate over the next couple weeks. And then you're just going to wake up one day and it's going to be dead. So to save your wallet a problem and the fish from suffering, you should, just wait till the tank is cycled at that point. So hopefully that answers your question. Inverter, I'm going to cough again. Here we go. Damn. Let's see here. Ooh, thanks. I've got a generator, but I'm looking for water movement during the storm. Yeah, so you can get the ice cap if you want. I know that again, Ecotech has the batteries for that as well. You could also get yeah. I know that if you're looking for just I know that the computer battery backups, the kind of like larger ones, used to have them at my old office. It keeps the computer on for several hours after the power goes off. You can always get one of those. I don't really remember what the price point is on those computer backups, but I'm pretty sure they're capable of running some Powerheads for a while. You might just have to kind of see what the price point is on that and wattage and all that stuff. Any reliable predators for fermented snails? The bumblebee snail is the only known predator. I know that the butterfly fish, I think that's what it is. That's been known to eat them, but not very often. Your best bet to get rid of fermented snails is get rid of the food source. Most fermented snails, I don't think I even have any left in the tank. I pretty much starved them out. I changed the way I was feeding, and I can't remember the last time I've even seen one. So when it comes to fermented snails, they're filter feeders. So if you're feeding coral foods or you're feeding your broadcast feeding and your Powerheads, and you just got a cloudy tank in general when it comes to feeding, that's going to, or you're not using filter socks or some kind of mechanical filtration, that's really going to promote the growth of the fermented snails. I got rid of mine simply by not broadcast feeding. And when I did feed, the Powerheads were off, changing out my filter socks more often to help catch detritus and debris and all that kind of stuff earlier on, so they didn't have a chance to feed. And then you can get in there and you can manually remove them. You can break them, poke them. What do you got to do? You can put glue on them, or you can just get a bunch of bumblebee snails. But I know the price point on those are pretty high. So, yeah, it's just one of those things you're going to have to work on continuously. It's going to be a multi-pronged approach. But yeah, I mean, I can't remember the last time I saw one in my tank. And again, that was just by changing up how I fed. Again, having the power heads off during feeding, not feeding that food that spreads over the place as easily. And then, of course, changing the filter socks and not feeding as much because then there's not waste floating around. So just try that out. Other than that, fermented snails are just a huge pain in the ass. They just are. Just had to use my inverter generator Friday. Ran 4 large tanks off of it. No lights, but everything else running. Yeah, I don't, Sammy. I don't run the lights when I run my generator, just because. Who cares? Like when you have a power outage, you're looking at the main things here. You want to make sure you have flow, of course, temperature, and aeration. That's the biggest thing. The corals can go days without lights. They're going to be fine. Of course, they might be a little stressed, but they can only go several hours without having water flow or oxygen or temperature being in the right spot. So, I think my generator's 3,000 watts, and I can run both my main pumps, my heater. I run my Apex, which runs those things. I usually keep my skimmer off because it is the Niles Quantum 300, so it's a little bit of a hog when it comes to electricity. So I'll keep that off. I'll keep my lights off, keep my T5s off, or LEDs and my T5s. So it's pretty much just the 5 power heads and then the 4 in the other tank. And then I just run the heaters and the return pumps. That's it. Everything else is off until the power comes back on. And I'll save on gas as well. So hey, no problem, man. Good luck with all that. Wanted to make my 55-gallon freshwater tank a saltwater tank. Can I use a hang on the back filtration as filtration? Yes, you can. I don't know if it's one of the spinny ones or whatever, but yes, you can use hang on the back filtration. You can use canister filters. What the canister filter is and the hang on the back, they're not so much the beneficial bacteria like you would normally have in a freshwater tank where you'd have like the bio wheel and all that stuff. You're not going to use that as the reason to have that on your tank. Basically, let me clear my throat again. Basically, the hang on the back filter and the canister filter in a saltwater environment is just used for mechanical filtration. So you put like filter floss in there, some kind of media like that, where you put your carbon in there if you want. But you would use those filters to help pull out detritus and to promote water flow, aeration. That's what you would use them for. The filtration itself in a saltwater tank is from the rock. That's where the beneficial bacteria live, on the rock, in the rock, on the surface of things. That's where you're going to get the processing of nutrients. But the mechanical filtration and the aeration, the water movement will come from your power heads. And then, of course, your hang on the back filter and your canister filter. So that's what those would be used for. Now, word of caution here. If you are going to use a hang on the back or a canister filter, you need to make sure that you're changing out that mechanical filtration every week. If you have filter floss in there or some kind of micro pad or whatever to catch that stuff, you have to get it soon because it will eventually just kind of breed nitrates and phosphates and kind of drop that stuff back into your tank. They call them nitrate factories for a reason. And that is the reason why, is it's just you're dropping that stuff back in the tank because you caught it originally in the filtration, but because it was there so long, that original food just broke down and then released into its final form of nitrates and phosphates. So that's why you got to change that stuff out pretty regularly, at least once a week. I would recommend. Yeah, good luck with that. Hopefully it works out. I used to hang on the back mechanical filtration on my 55-gallon. Works great. Yep, there you go. Yep, mechanical filtration only. Again, the beneficial bacteria is going to be on the rock. So. Setting up a chiller because my house has been running warm. How big of a temp swing do you allow for the chiller? Now, my chiller kicks on for an emergency. So right now my tank is set between 7. I brought it down a little bit just for the sake of electricity purposes, but right now it's at 78.5 to 79.1 or 2. It's not like a crazy fluctuation. That's where I kind of keep it at. Now, my chiller will kick on closer to 80. I think I have it a little bit below 80. I'll have to double check to confirm that. But my chiller will kick on if there's technically a quote unquote an emergency. So if the tank is upwards of 80 degrees, that's because something's going on in the house. And that's when I needed to kick on. I did originally have it kick on at a lower temp, like 79.5 or something like that, just because I never wanted it to go above that. But the thing is, the chiller was kicking on too often and then just unnecessarily wasting electricity. So, and just in general, wasn't very smart to have it kicking on all the time. So I would say I usually try not to go over a degree. I try to stay within a half a degree. It depends on your tank. That's just me personally. I know some people said they've gotten away with 2 or 3 temperature swings, point temperature swings. I don't know. Personally, I find that my SPS don't appreciate more than a degree at a degree. Um, but again, it depends on what you have. I know that my Walt Disney does not like more than a degree. Just kind of word. Maybe it's where it is in the tank. I don't know. It just gets all sucked up and not very happy. So I would say just put it in there to the point where if the tank got to a point where it's just not safe, that's when the chiller is going to kick on. So, and then when you have it turn off, I always have it turn off about a degree above where the heater would eventually kick on, because in my system, that water has to travel throughout the entire tank and set up before it comes back to the temperature probe. So if you set your chiller to turn off, excuse me, like a degree or two, a point degree or two before your heaters would eventually kick on. That way, you're not fighting the chiller still chilling the tank and then the temperature getting down, your heaters kicking back on. So just keep that in mind as well. So, yep. I know that's a lot of information. I might do a separate video on that just to clarify. I am drinking coffee at 8:30 at night. That's probably not a good idea. But I have a stack of orders, custom orders. Just a whole bunch of stuff that I gotta get done. So I'm gonna be up late tonight. Yeah, I know I mentioned this before, but if any of you guys are interested in jiu-jitsu or kind of seeing where I'm going with it, with the training and competitions and stuff, you guys can check out the Hex Jiu-Jitsu. I'll put a link in the description if you guys want to check that out. Come on over. I'll be uploading all my stuff there. I got big plans for that in the future. I just kind of getting it away for this channel for now, and see what happens. So can I use a 5-gallon head pack plastic container? I don't know what the heck that is. I'm gonna look that up. Made of high density polyurethane for calc reservoir. Let me look that up just to verify. I know that when it comes to these plastics, I know I did a video on it before, but there's a whole bunch of labels you got to keep an eye on. Let me I'll just do 5-gallon. Okay, I see what you have here. What you should make sure, and this is what I did when it came to my RODI storage. You need to make sure that these are, they look like it too, that they are food safe. That means that us humans can put food or put water in them and be okay drinking it, no issues. So you just got to confirm that anything that's food safe, human safe for consumption is pretty much good to go for the reef tank. But yeah, polyurethane is fine. What I use now for a calc reservoir, so you're looking at as what, an ATO? Is that that's what you're looking at for that? That should be fine. I know that I did 5-gallon buckets for Home Depot before with the lid as a reservoir. So yeah, I mean, you can do that. But again, just make sure that it's food safe, food, for humans, and you'll be fine. Let me see here. Is ceramic rock a good option for reef tanks? Can live rock contain contaminants? Well, I mean, anything can have contaminants, even ceramics. I mean, depends on where they sourced everything and how it was baked and how it was processed. I mean, you can have issues with anything. So, when it comes to live rock, personally, I'm not a fan of live rock. I think pest wise, yes. Listen, there's benefits to live rock. There's a lot of bio what am I looking for? What's what we're looking for? Biodiversity in live rock. There's a lot of benefits to having just things that you wouldn't normally have on cured reef saver dry rock. There's a lot of benefits there, but then there's also a lot of risk. Like you can get some weird ass worms that come in, pests, parasites, all sorts of things can come in on the live rock. Personally, with the price and just kind of how live rock, the risk associated with it, I don't recommend it. I think if you wanted to do like reef saver dry rock, cured it, or Pucani, something like that. I'm also not a fan of the man-made rock, like that's purple stuff, all that crunched up rock that they make with, out of cement and all that kind of stuff. Not a fan of that, just because I find that it's too dense and you can't really get the bacteria population you want. But that's another video. So ceramic rock is just like any rock. There's going to be risk associated with it just because of, being man-made and kind of, humans being involved. So if it was me, reef saver dry rock or Pucani cured is usually the way that I go 99% of the time. Let me clear my voice again. That is usually the route that I go with that stuff. So it's a SPS Acropora dominant tank. Thanks. Oh man, I gotta remember what we talked about. Oh no, let me scroll up, man. Give me a second. I don't remember what we talked about. Am I blind? I feel like I'm blind. Oh, set up a chiller. Okay, the chiller question. Yeah, so yeah, just keep the fluctuations to a minimum as you can. Like I said, set it up to be to the point where if the tank got to this point, it's just going to make your corals unhappy. Have that to be the kick on point, and then have it turn off. Say your heater kicks on at 78.5. Have the chiller kick off at 78.7. Just have the chiller kick off at that point, because by the time all that water gets circulated through the tank and back to the heater or the temperature probes, it would already be off, so you're not fighting it eventually. So yeah, there you go. Sammy says, I use them. I use them tidal filters on a bunch of small 20-gallon tanks for mini fish retail racks. Works wonderfully. Keeps fish isolated in case baddies, but really keeping clean water. I've been impressed. I've never used those before. Go check them out. Getting a tank breakdown tomorrow. Tank is dirty. I'm thinking about filling the tank sump with fresh water, citric acid, and letting the pumps run for an hour. Good or not? Yeah, you can do that. I'd stay away from like vinegar and stuff like that. But yeah, you can do that if you want. Or you can just put regular water in it and let it run and get in there and scrub it. Or you can just clean it before you even put it together. You can take it out, hose it down, scrub it down, and go from there. Clean the pumps, make it all nice and new. Who says you have to set it up tomorrow, right? Why don't you can just, do it that way. You didn't say you had any fish or anything. I'm assuming you're not. You're not going to put citric acid in there with a fish. So I'd say you could do that, or you can just clean it, make it new itself, and then put it together. So it's your call, Jonathan. Next question here. At night when I shine a torch on my corals, or shine a torch. Am I reading that right? At night, when I shine a torch on my corals, I can see weird bristle star looking tentacle. I thought that said testicles. Oh man, tentacles sticking out of the underneath a lot of my corals. What could it be? I don't think it's bristle stars. Oh, you have to send me a picture. It's probably brittle stars. Sorry, they're probably just starfish, little ones. I mean, they most likely are. They're white. I know that there's brown ones, there's white ones. I have the brown ones in my tank. I like them. I got them from Scott from Resco's Reef. I actually wanted them because they look pretty cool, and they're filter feeders and they're pretty small, opposed to the big ones. Speaking of that, let me move on real quick. I'll come back to this. My blue Linkia starfish finally passed away a couple months ago. I meant to tell you guys that. So let me look up real quick. When did I get that, dude? Let me just look. I'm going to go to my channel real quick. Blue Linkia. Here we go. I got that starfish on June 2nd of 2016, and he just died 2 months ago. What would that bring us to? So we're in October? So we'll say September. So basically, what is that? 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. So he lived 6 years. That's crazy. Oh, I'm going to cough real quick. So yeah, my Linkia starfish lived 6 years. That's crazy. But yeah, I meant to tell you guys about that because it just reminded me. But yeah, so you can send me a picture if you want, but I wouldn't worry about them. Brittle stars are not bad. They're detritus. They clean. I mean, I've never seen one as bad. It's the Asterina starfish are another story, and they don't look like brittle stars. So what is the best way to get rid of bristle worms? I saw one the other day and want to go ahead and before it reproduces. Well, you can try to catch it. I do offer bristle worm traps on the website. There's a few different versions. You put some bait in there, throw them in the tank, and then just check it in the morning. You can pull them out. The ones with the mazes seem to be more popular because it kind of traps them in there. They can't find their way out as quickly. But yeah, you can put a trap in there and catch them. I mean, they're extremely popular. People use them all the time, and I get plenty of people saying that they work great. So yeah, that's the best way. Or you can try to catch it with a pair of tongs or something. Try not to use your fingers. I do believe they sting. Depending, I know there's a difference between bristle worms and I think they're fire worms or whatever they are. They kind of look the same, but they're not. So yeah, just keep that in mind. Man, I got to cough again. Geez. over here dying. All right, Tank. Thanks, man. I thought so. I just wanted to make sure before I ordered. Now I got to find some kind of connector to connect the dosing pump line to the acrylic rod sticking down above the bottom of the reservoir. I think the res. Okay. All right, man. No problem. Haven't been on social media much in a while. Still got Bertha. Yeah, I got Big Bertha. She's in the tub. She's in the tub with a sailfin tang and Big Blue, like the Big Blue fish that's in this tank I got from Scott from Roscoe's Reef. Roscoe's Reef, yeah. So Big Bertha's in the tub, a sailfin's in the tub, and the powder blue's in the tub. The reason for that is the powder blue just had an attitude one day. I don't know. He just woke up and decided to be a dick to everybody. So I moved him into that tub, and that's where he lives now. So he he beat the crap out of one of my sailfins, and then the sailfin passed away, unfortunately. Tried to bring him back. But yeah, so he lives in the tub. A beautiful fish. I'm just kind of bummed about that. But yeah, Big Bertha's good. Streamers are rocking. She's still a monster in the tub, knocking everything over. But I can't get myself to get rid of her. So I don't know. I'm glad she's out of the 300 though, for sure. What's the downside of bristleworms? I don't know. I don't really notice a downside. I know that they're detritus eaters. If you don't like the look of them, I mean that's the downside. I've never seen them kill anything, any fish, or harm anything. I've never seen them eat corals. I've never seen them do anything like that. So I don't really think there is a downside other than that they're ugly. I mean, I guess that could be enough of a downside for people. But yeah, they clean up detritus. I mean, that's their job. So I don't know. People don't like them. Enough people don't like them because those traps are pretty popular. So there are certain fish that eat bristleworms. I know certain dottybags eat bristleworms, fireworms. Yeah, fireworms. That's the other name of it. Yeah, there's a few different fish that eat them. Yeah, I mean, if that's what you want, I mean, it's up to you, man. I'm not a big. I don't think they bother me. I don't really have an issue with them. So, Travis, are you a GFO all month person or run out and pull it when you hit your prime on it? I haven't used GFO in like 3 years. Actually, let me take that back. I have never used GFO on the 300 ever. It was the 125. I had bio pellets and GFO because it was a 125 and it was packed full of fish. And the filtration skimmer, I mean, it was okay, but nothing like I have now. So I used that on that tank. But yeah, I've never used GFO on the 300 ever. Technically 500. Yeah, I never used it. I'm actually dosing PO4 pretty consistently, actually. So yeah, I mean, there was one time in the past that I had a little bit of cyanobacteria that it probably could have justified some GFO, but I was feeding like an idiot, not paying attention. So, you'll have that. But usually when it comes to GFO, I just switch it out every month, like my carbon. So I change my carbon to GFO every 30 days. And I usually put the amount in there of GFO about the one or maybe 2/3 the recommended amount for the size of the tank, just because GFO is known to kind of strip the PO4 pretty quickly. So you just got to be careful with that. Blessings Hex, what's up? What's your go-to return pump? Additionally, what do you dose for calcium and alkalinity? Trinidad, what's up, man? In the house. Cool. So my go-to for my return pumps, believe it or not, is actually I've been using the Jabo pumps forever. I don't think I've ever used anything else for a return pump except for the Jabos. Now I did start off with like a DC back on the 125. I had a DC 6000, did great, sold that. I don't use, actually, no, I think I still have it. It's in the container. And when I came here to the 120, or when I came here to the 300, I put in a DC 12,000 that runs the tank and a couple reactors. And then I added a second pump, a DC 18,000, which runs the tub and the 2 low boys, as well as the UV sterilizer. So Jabos, they're return pumps, man. No issues with them. Easy to clean. I haven't had any rust problems, no mechanical problems. Powerheads, their Powerheads is another story and another tangent I don't need to go on. But yeah, so price point, Jabos work pretty good. If I was to use something outside of that, I know that the Apex, they have a return pump, and I know that Ecotech has one as well. I know that the Ecotech is extremely popular. Never used it though, but it is pretty popular. So powder blue tangs don't ship well at all. Somehow they die all the time in shipping. I've lost a couple like that. Yeah, I heard, well, tangs in general, the only tang that I've ever been pretty successful in when it comes to shipping is the sale of the Scopus tangs. Those ship pretty well. The yellow tangs seem to ship pretty well. I'm looking at this tank here, and all these tangs that are no longer in this tank because that eel ate all of them, as well as all the chromuses and all the clownfish that used to be in this tank. Man, that eel was up there on the list of mistakes that I made, like Big Bertha wise. Maybe I'll do a video on that. Like mistakes that I made on the 300 that have impacted me. I'll write that down before I forget. Biggest mistakes 300 gallon. Because that eel wiped out $1,200 in fish in like a week and a half. Yeah, so I'm not happy about that. Oh, it still bothers me. Right on. Been playing with different methods. What's up, Mike Lemming? What's up, man? Hope all is well. You too, man. Did you just get a new car? I think you were posting pictures of like $125,000 electric Mercedes or some shit. Kudos to you, man. You rocking that kind of stuff. It's still electric, so yeah. Anyways, Travis, do you ever do ICP tests on your water? If so, do you think it's worth the $49 they charge? I don't know why they're spending $49 on it. What are you looking at, Lee? Let me look at ICP analysis. Let me see how much that is. That shouldn't be $49. Let me buy test kit. Let me see what that's costing. Okay, so ICP, man, why is it $49 all of a sudden? Holy smokes, BRS. Man, inflation. Holy smokes. Why is it $49? Let me see what Amazon says. Amazon. $49? Really? It used to be like 20 some bucks, $30. Yeah, they have them here on Amazon for $30. It's the 40 plus elements, single test, ICP analysis. Yeah, consider doing that. I mean, it's $10 less. Yeah, ICP analysis, 33 element water test kit, single sample kit. Yeah, I don't, and they let you send in your RODI as well, which is pretty nice. They tell you if you have any issues with their filters and all that. But yeah, $50. Okay, well, with that said, Lee, I would say do an ICP test every 6 months or at least once a year. 6 months probably, preferably. And if you're making any major water changes, if you're changing out salt stuff, or if you think maybe your kids dropped a bunch of pennies in your tank, stuff like that, you might consider doing it a little bit more often. But usually 6 months to a year, and I don't spend that much. I mean, $30 works. So yeah, there you go. How long should I run my sump light for my Chato? I usually run mine. So if my lights turn off at 9 o'clock and they say they turn off at 9 o'clock at night and they turn back on at 9 o'clock in the morning, right? So my that's 12 hours off. So what happens is I'll have my Chato kick on an hour or two before my lights go off, and then I'll have it turn off an hour or two after my lights kick back on. That way there's that balance between lighting the refugium and the growth in the tank. It helps stabilize the pH, and it also just helps promote the growth. So 2 hours before and 2 hours after the lights turn on and off. So I ran your Jabo return pump for about 4 years after I got it from you, and I'm sure you used it for a couple of years. Yeah, that Jabo return pump. Yeah, I got it from for your new setup. Yeah, I've had no issues with Jabo return pumps. It's their Powerheads that I can't stand. But the return pumps are rocking. Yeah, I got a few Jabo pumps, all great. The new SLW Powerheads are awesome, very good quality. Yeah, I think I have some pump guards for those. There's a couple models that I'm waiting to get in to make them, but yeah, I haven't used them personally. I think they kind of look like the Nero 5s, right? Same kind of body style, but they're old ones. They're old original pumps that I still have in a 300. A little bit of a pain. What's left of them. Do you find amino acids? I'm gonna clear my throat. Excuse me. Do you find amino acid formulas beneficial, like AcroPower? And should these additives be used even if you don't have a skimmer? It's a quarantine tank. I wouldn't use any additives in a quarantine tank. A quarantine tank is just that. It's just to keep the tank as stable as possible. Less equipment, less complicated. It's for you to observe the corals. You're not trying to do any kind of crazy growth. You're not looking for a ton of coloration. That's not the point of a quarantine tank. So I wouldn't use any of that stuff for when you're wasting the money on it, because you're not going to get the benefits. but I would save that stuff for a tank or just a regular display tank. But yes, they're definitely beneficial. Acro Power, I really like using that. A lot of people say it's just sugar water. I don't know. I've never tried it. I can't see the ingredients because they don't put it on there. Who knows? It might just be water that there's a bunch of sugar in. Cool. They're making some good money on it. Kudos to you on that. But Acro Power works. Aquavitro Fuel when it comes to the micro elements. I like to use, of course, potassium, iodine. I think, is it iodine? I have to look at it. It's iodine or iron or something. I don't know. It's one of those two. I have it downstairs. Some Brightwell Aquatics. But yeah, I use that stuff, but I don't use it in my quarantine tanks. I think it's kind of a waste and pointless. Do I need a skimmer for a 10-gallon tank? No, you don't need a skimmer. You don't really need a skimmer at all, but there are benefits to a skimmer, regardless of the tank size. Aeration, elevation of pH, removing detritus, nutrients, overall the cool factor of having a skimmer. And I'm a gear junkie. So, but yeah, you don't have to for a 10-gallon tank. I don't know. It depends on how stocked it is, but yeah, I mean, sure call. You don't have to though. We don't have to do anything if you choose to, I suppose. No, just a car I sold. I'm not there yet. I would be driving a new truck before I bought a Mercedes any day. Yeah. What? I thought you had a new truck. I know last I saw you a few years ago. You had that Ford. I don't know I think it was a Ford. The silver one. But yeah. Super chat if you lick a cap of Acro Power and describe it. Yeah, I'm not gonna do that. No, I'm already sick, man. I ain't trying to eat that. I gotta buy some more anyways. I think I ran out. I'll have to check. Any fish you like for pest control other than wrasses? Stocking my 60-gallon frag tank, and all I have is a 2-inch fox face. So my frag tanks and quarantine tanks have fox faces, tangs. This can be Scopus tangs or sailfin tangs or yellow tangs. Because they seem to be the ones that are more active when it comes to eating stuff, and wrasses. Those are the 3 types of fish that I do. I don't really go anything outside of that. The wrasses serve the purpose of catching nudibranchs and flatworms and all that kind of stuff. And then the wrasse or the tangs and the fox face really keep any kind of algae that comes in on plugs or anything like that, keeps that stuff in check. So there's really, well, now that my eel's eating all my fish, I really don't keep fish that don't have a purpose. Clownfish is usually the only fish that I keep that doesn't have really a purpose or not a utility fish. Everything else, it has a job and serves a purpose in the tank. That's why I really love tangs because they're always picking at stuff, the way they move. I just love them. So, yep. I know that on my list of things to get is I need some more wrasses. I really miss my wrasse. He passed away a while ago, but I'm having a hard time finding them. And, yeah, so I got to get wrasses at some point. Definitely miss them, just the way they move and all that. Bite inflation, yeah. Red Sea test kits went from 45 to 72. What? Wow. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I know I'm feeling it on my business. On my side of things, I'm definitely feeling people just not having money to spend. And it probably has something to do with the fact that I don't have really any coral anymore. I mean, I have coral. It's growing out. It's just not for sale until I can get back to where I was. But that reminds me, if anybody has if you're local or you're around here, if you have like a bird's nest or any kind of easier SPS, any kind of acro or anything in general that you're looking to trade or sell, I'm looking to kind of keep getting grow out disc. I'm just looking for, what's up, Cat? I'm looking to expand my grow out collection. So if anybody has any of that stuff, especially green bird's nest, I need that ASAP. I've been missing it for, it's one of my most popular cores. I've been missing it for a couple of years and I'm kind of bummed about it. So yeah, if anybody got anything to trade, let me know. And if you're local, I don't want you guys shipping stuff all over the country if you don't have to, but if you're around here, let me know. Mercedes are doing away with the V8 engine. Such a shame. Yeah, I know. I mean, I'm thinking about, I'm not going to do it right now, but I love my truck. Don't get me wrong, but I want to go back to having a Ford Explorer. I miss the SUV life. I mean, how often? I mean, what do I use my truck for? When I'm building stuff and I'm putting deer in it. Listen, I can roll down the windows. I can still throw deer in my SUV. I just miss having the extra seats, and I just miss the gas mileage, the V6. I miss not 11 miles per gallon. I don't know. I definitely gotta get back to that at some point. We'll see. We'll see. It was definitely not the time to be buying a car for sure. C30 C63 is a 4-cylinder. But 470 horses out of 4-cylinder ain't too shabby. That's crazy. Wow. Wow. $10 super chat. I'm not licking Acker Power. Not doing that. I appreciate it though. So what Powerheads do you recommend that can run a 220 gallon, because MP40s are very pricey? What is that? I know that the gyres have come a long way. I know a lot of people can be a little iffy about them, but I've heard good things about the gyres. I've even heard good things about the Jabo gyres. Never used one, but I've heard good things about them. So that doesn't necessarily, I didn't test one, so I take it with a grain of salt. But I know that Apex makes them, but you're probably not looking to spend that kind of money. Jabo is making like the SLW Powerheads. Heard good things about them. Never used one. They look like the Nero 5s. I don't know if they make a Nero 7 yet. If they do, that might be something to look into, because it is going to be bigger than the Nero 5. Let me see. Do they make a Nero 7? Let me look here. Nero 7, maybe? Do they? Yeah, that is not what I was looking at. I don't think they do. Nero 3. I see Nero 3 here. Nero 5. Let me see here. Did they make anything else? Yeah, Nero 3, Nero 5. So no. Depending on how thick the glass is, the Nero 5s are pretty good. Yeah, they should make a bigger one. That'd be nice. But yeah, Jabo might be your good bet, the new SLW series. But other than that, when it comes to Powerheads, you just sometimes you got to spend the money, unfortunately. You could always get a more powerful return pump and just put more flow through the tank. So Sammy says 2 SLWs 30s to start. They're very powerful. Maybe a third later. There you go. SL 30s. There you go. Try that out, man. Would you recommend a Refugium for a 10 gallon or an Overkill? I wouldn't do a Refugium for a 10 gallon. First of all, where are you going to put it? Are you plumbing this 10 gallon down to a sump? It'd be cool if you had a 10 gallon display and like a 55 gallon sump with like a Refugium, a skimmer, all this crazy overkill equipment, just a ton of stuff in there that you would put on like a 125 or a 200 gallon tank. And then that thing's just plumbed up to this little 10 gallon rimless tank on your desk or something. And you have the sump like in the basement. That'd be pretty cool, because then you could just pack it full of all these crazy stuff that you would just think wouldn't make any sense. And then, it's down there with just an overkill filtration system. That'd be pretty cool. Or if you those people who build those tanks out of the vases and stuff like that. If you had just like the small vase plumbed down to a 55 gallon sump, that'd be pretty cool. Maybe someday. I wish I could give you some of my green burst nest. It's growing out of control. Yeah, well, I don't know where you live. I mean, I can help you pay for shipping. We can figure something out. Let me know. Hit me up, Joshua. Hit me up. fishofhex@gmail.com. Let me see what you want to do. We can work something out. I really know that I got to start growing it. I got like 6 or 7 spots in the 300 that I can put some corals in. I got to get going on that. I'm trying to grow that stuff out. What do you dose for calcium and alkalinity? I meant to answer that earlier. I'm sorry about that. So I use a calcium reactor, a Geo's Reef calcium reactor. Now, before I've dosed using a calc reactor. I've also used calc wasser just in an ATO. I know the 125, I use 2-part. That's going to be, it's technically 3 parts. It's calcium, alkalinity, and then magnesium you dose on a dosing pump. Got that stuff at BRS. So there's a bunch of different methods. Right now, I just primarily use the calcium reactor. Now, once I grow the tank back out and it's full of coral like it is in the video here, and my tubs are grown out, and in general, I got a ton of coral, there will be a point where the calcium reactor does not keep up with the demand like it did before. And then I'll have to get out the calc reactor and start dosing calc on top of it to supplement. So, you can use more than one method. Building Jeeps right now. I'll give you my discount. Yeah. I don't know. I'm never really a fan of Jeeps. I like some of the mods to make them look kind of angry and stuff like that. But yeah. Do you still have your 370Z? No, I sold the 370. I sold that back in April. I didn't drive it much. So I have the boys like half the week, the majority of the week at this point. And I only drove the car maybe on a Sunday, maybe a Monday or Tuesday, possibly. So it literally just sat in my driveway, and I was paying a lot of money for that car. It was the Nismo Tech. It was the highest body trim. It was at almost barely any miles on it. It was not cheap. So basically, I was just paying for this thing to sit in my driveway, and then when I did drive it, it just brought out assholes, if that makes sense. So you're just driving like a normal dude trying to go to the grocery store, to grab myself some ham and cheese or something. And then some dude in the Honda Civic is like riding your ass and he wants to race you at the stoplight. And I'm just like, dude, I'm trying to just chill out here. And then it didn't bring any good attention. It just didn't bring good people. So I love the car, missed the car, but it's just not worth it. Just wasn't worth it. So I sold it. I actually made some pretty good money on it, which I learned I did to knock down some debt, which was great. So yes, I miss it, but hey man, got to make choices. And plus I can't fit kids in that car. I mean, it's a toy, like what am I gonna do with a toy I'm gonna use twice a week? Let's see here. I don't trust Jabo. Somehow I always think they end up rusting over time, killing coral. I've never dealt with the rusting situation. That's why we do our ICP tests to verify if there's any issues with rust. It's just kind of something that, it's good. Like we are talking about ICP earlier. Every 6 months to a year, you tend to catch issues before they become one. I know that my kids, they don't really do it anymore. When they were younger, they would throw stuff in the sump. I found a bunch of little duckies in there one time, which I thought was kind of funny. But finding screws and pennies and stuff is not something that I find anymore. They don't do that anymore. But if you don't find those things, you can run into some issues, and that's why we do the ICP test. Same thing with the Jabo. If you think it's going to rust or you think a Powerhead's going to rust, ICP test is a good way to catch that stuff. So, what Powerheads recommended for a 90-gallon? I'd go back to the SL series or the Nero 5. A 90-gallon Nero 5s would be fine. Maybe 4 of them, 2 on each side. If you want to get fancy, you can put a couple on the back wall. Yeah, that'd be good for a 90-gallon. I don't know. I don't remember what the price point on those are. Oh, here we go. Same question. Yeah, what do you recommend? But yeah, guys, if you guys want to add any more questions, feel free. We're already at an hour. Jeez, already at an hour. Damn, that went quick. Again, if you want to support the channel, you can head over. It's 40% off. That code live100 at checkout. That's good until Friday. That's with everything on the website. If you have any issues with the codes, feel free to email me. And then we are doing the buy 3 get 1 free on all 3D printing per usual. Turnaround time on 3D printing is pretty good right now. It's only about a week. I've gotten all my printers working finally. I did make some major modifications to the printers. I rebuilt hot ends, like special hot ends with special blocks, and just really revamped the 3D printers. So I'm not getting downtime like I used to, which is really good for keeping orders moving. The only issue I've had recently is trying to get filament in, but I've kind of worked my way around that. I'm doing a little bit better. So let's see. We got another question here. Sammy says, I have a few Jabo gyres. They're good, but need more regular maintenance versus the SLW. Depends on the flow goals. Yeah. Excuse me. I've heard decent things about the gyres when it comes to the Jabos. Again, I never used it, but I've heard some pretty good things. So other than that, guys, yeah, I will put a link. Check out the other channel. If you're interested in jiu-jitsu, you're interested in any of that kind of stuff, you have questions, you're looking to do it, or you just want to see me either win a competition or lose competition, check out those videos. I mean, I'm going to put some stuff out there and kind of see where it goes. But other than that, more videos to come. I'll have one for you guys tomorrow, and I will see you next Monday with another live stream. All right. Other than that, appreciate you guys, and I'll see you later. All right. Peace.